The average recruiter spends 13 hours a week screening CVs. Not recruiting, screening. Reading the same qualifications, writing the same notes, sending the same holding emails. I built a workflow that does all of that automatically. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how. So here's what the manual version looks like. A candidate submits their application, someone on the team opens it, reads through the CV, tries to remember which role they applied for, digs up the job description, compares them mentally, gives it a gut score, types a few notes into a spreadsheet, and then either sends a holding email or tries to schedule a call. Now multiply that by 40 applications a week, or 100. Studies put the average at 250 applications per open role. At even 5 minutes per CV, that's 20 hours of skilled labor gone before a single qualified conversation has happened. The worst part? The information to make that decision already existed the moment the form was submitted. The CV was right there, the job description was right there. Every step after that is just a human doing what a computer, what AI could do faster and more consistently. And that's what we are fixing today. So this is the workflow Claude Code built for us. And let's see it in action. So you can see I've filled out the details and there's a way for me to even upload or attach the resume. I've done that. I'm going to click on submit. And let's see how it goes. You'll see the flow is taking it through different nodes. It's going up to almost the last one. And we're going to see that an email was sent out. It says your application for senior full stack engineer. It says thank you for applying to the role. Team is currently reviewing all applications. So this is a holding email. So you see, it took it through the workflow and took, 5 seconds for this entire flow to work. That's how amazing Claude Code is and how this workflow can help automate this entire process. Let's look at our diagram next. Alright, so this is a simple diagram that's going to show us how this flow will work. I always like to do this even though I'm using Claude Code, which is basically AI to build a workflow. This helps solidify in my mind how I want the workflow to be built, or at least what the concept should be as we take ourselves through this workflow. So as you will see, we have an n8n form on the left, which is basically mimicking the candidates submitting their application and even uploading their resume online. We then, of course, want the system to look up the job description so that we can match the resume to the job description. And then we want AI to be able to take both of these elements and score the resume. We of course want this to also be logged somewhere. So for now, we're going to do this in Google Sheets. And then if the CV score is greater than a 7, which means the CV very closely matches the job description, we're going to notify the recruiter in Slack. And if the score is less than 7, we're just going to shoot an email in to the candidate saying, hey, we're still currently reviewing applications. So this is what the flow is. And we'll take a look at Claude Code next. Alright folks, so before we begin, we need a few things. We first need n8n, and we need your n8n URL. So go ahead to google.com, type n8n and download it, or open it in your browser, sign up for an account. We also need Google Sheets for our logging, so since we're using that as the CRM. So you'll see I have 2 tabs at the bottom, job postings and candidate screening log. So keep these ready. And then finally, we also need Slack. And I've created a new channel in my Slack, which is called Candidate Screening. And this is where we're going to be able to send messages to our recruiters. There's actually one more thing. We also, of course, need Visual Studio Code. If you remember from my previous videos, you can download VS Code just via typing it in google.com. And then to download the Claude Code extension, we need to go to extensions, type Claude Code. You'll see I already have it installed. And then once that's done, click on this orange icon in the top right corner, which is the icon for Claude Code, and you should see this screen pop up for you guys. We'll then switch to bypass permissions just because it gives Claude Code the necessary permissions it needs to build this workflow. Yes, we need to be careful about using this, but for our purposes right now, this should be fine. All right, so let's now go ahead and build a prompt for Claude Code to go build this workflow. So we're back in Visual Studio Code, and I've built out a simple prompt. I know it looks long, but it's gonna be able to give Claude Code whatever it needs to be able to build this workflow for us. And so what we're saying is, I want you to build a candidate screening workflow. I have also mentioned the Google Sheets along with headers that each of those tabs within the sheet has. We're going to talk about what kind of trigger the workflow should accept. And then we're also giving it a little bit of flow where we're saying, hey, after you have someone submit a resume, we want you to read the job posting sheet. We then want you to build an AI prompt, send it to an AI model that's going to score the candidate out of 10 and return a summary, strengths, red flags, and a recommendation. We want to log the results, and if the score is 7 or higher, notify the recruiting team on Slack. If it's below 7, we need to send a holding email to the candidate saying their application is currently under review. And we're going to shoot this off to Claude Code and let it do its magic. In the meanwhile, what I've also done is create a resume. So this one's a resume that fits one of the job descriptions from the CRM sheet. And so you will see this person is a senior full stack engineer with expertise building SaaS products. He has all of these listed as well, the technical skills that they possess, some of the experience that they've had from the past. And so this one is going to be used for this particular job posting, which is for a senior full stack engineer. And you'll see I have a short description of what the job position is about, along with the required skills that the job position should have. The status, of course, is open. Also, in our candidate screening log, I have these headings that I mentioned in my prompt, and we're hoping the workflow should be able to log to the CRM once it's complete. We're back in Visual Studio Code, and you'll see Claude Code is working its magic. You'll see it's done a health check. It's probably right now trying to think of how to build the workflow. And once this is done, we'll see what it came up with. While testing the workflow, what I found was even with a strong resume upload, the AI was thinking that it's not a good enough resume and it only gave it a score of 2 or 3. I investigated this with Claude Code, and what I found is that it wasn't actually extracting the text properly from the resume that was being uploaded. And so you'll see this workflow, especially at this node, is different from the one we saw earlier, where now they have an extract from file node in place. And this is going to be able to take the file that was uploaded, extract its text before sending it off to this AI agent. So this is an important point because whenever you get stuck or your workflow isn't working as expected, you can just chat back and forth with Claude Code, as I was doing over here, to be able to fix it. You just needed to provide it with, some context, some info on what went wrong. Even if you don't, it has the ability to get your workflow, look at the details of the execution, and actually self-diagnose the problem as well. Having said that, let's go back and test this workflow out. So I've filled out all of the fields, the name, email, the position I'm applying for, along with the strong version of the resume, and I'm going to hit submit. You'll see it's went off, logged to the sheet, it's given its score, and since the score would have been over 7, it has already sent a Slack notification. So let's go to Slack and see what we see. Look at that. It has the name of the candidate that we provided. It has a resume score of 8 out of 10, a summary for why that particular candidate is strong. And so this is the end-to-end workflow What you could also test it with a weak resume, which is what we did when we started the video, where a holding email was sent out in case the candidate wasn't strong enough. That's the full build. One n8n workflow, one Claude API call, and a recruiting agency never has to read a bad CV again. What you now have is a system that screens every application consistently, no fatigue, no off days, no falling behind during a busy week. The first candidate the recruiter looks at every morning is a qualified one. If this is the kind of thing you want to see more of, real workflows for real business problems, subscribe. I put these out regularly, and every one is built from scratch on camera. And if you know someone running a recruiting agency or a talent team drowning in CVs, send them this. It might just save them a few hundred hours per year.